The assignment. Jake fidgeted nervously in his seat as Professor Zixtal's gelatinous form undulated at the front of the classroom. The Galactic University of Xenobiology was renowned for its diverse student body, but as the only human on campus, Jake often felt like an exhibit in an intergalactic zoo. And for our next unit, Professor Zixtal burbled, his voice translator struggling to keep up with his excited tremors. We will be exploring unique planetary biomes. Each student will present on their home world's ecology. A chorus of excited chirps, clicks, and hums filled the air. Jake's stomach nodded. He knew what was coming. We have a special treat, Zixtal continued, his gelatinous body pulsing with what Jake had learned to recognize as enthusiasm. Our exchange student, Jake, will be presenting on the infamous Deathworld known as Earth. The classroom fell silent. All eyes, optical sensors, and various alien sensory organs swiveled to focus on Jake. He could feel the weight of their stares, a mixture of fear, curiosity, and disbelief. Lurk, a mantis-like fraction, clicked his mandibles nervously. Professor, isn't that dangerous? I've heard Earth's gravity alone can crush most species. And the atmospheric pressure, chittered Zizik, a gaseous Nebulonian. It would pop me like a bubble. Jake sighed. He'd been dealing with these misconceptions since he'd arrived at the university. Yes, Earth was classified as a death world by galactic standards, but it wasn't the nightmarish hellscape most aliens imagined. Professor Zixtal's body rippled with what Jake interpreted as laughter. That's precisely why Jake's presentation will be so valuable. We'll learn firsthand about one of the most diverse and challenging ecosystems in the known galaxy. As the class buzzed with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, Jake's mind raced. How could he possibly convey the beauty and complexity of Earth's ecosystems without terrifying his classmates? He thought of the lush Amazon rainforest, the vast Sahara Desert, the frozen tundra of Antarctica, environments that would seem utterly alien and hostile to his extraterrestrial peers. After class, Jake approached Professor Zixtal. Professor, I'm not sure about this presentation. Everyone seems so afraid of Earth. Zixtal's form shimmered sympathetically. Jake, that's precisely why your perspective is so valuable. You can show them the truth about your homeworld, not just its dangers, but its wonders too. Jake nodded, a determined glint in his eye. I'll do my best, Professor. Over the next week, Jake threw himself into preparation. He gathered holographic images of Earth's most stunning landscapes, compiled data on its myriad ecosystems, and prepared explanations for the intricate web of life that made his home planet so unique. As he worked, he couldn't help but see Earth through new eyes. The gentle lap of ocean waves that he'd always found soothing would be terrifying to a species evolved on a world without large bodies of water. The majestic redwoods he'd marveled at as a child would seem like monstrous, overwhelming giants to beings from a low-gravity world. The night before his presentation, Jake sat in his specially designed quarters, surrounded by holograms of Earth. Mountains pierced the clouds, rivers carved through vast canyons, and countless species went about their lives in a beautiful, chaotic dance of survival. How can I make them understand? Jake murmured to himself. He picked up a small potted plant, a simple fern he brought from Earth. It was one of the few Earth organisms allowed on campus, thoroughly scanned, and deemed safe. To him, it was a small reminder of home. To his alien classmates, it was an object of both fascination and fear. An idea began to form in Jake's mind. Maybe he couldn't make his classmates fully understand Earth, but he could help them experience it, even in a small way. As the artificial night cycle of the university dimmed the lights, Jake worked feverishly, fine-tuning his presentation. He was no longer just fulfilling an assignment. He was on a mission to change perceptions about his homeworld, and by extension, humanity itself. The next morning, Jake stood outside the classroom, his heart pounding. He could hear the nervous chatter of his classmates inside. Taking a deep breath, he clutched his data pad and the small potted fern. Well, little guy, he said to the plant. "Let's go show them what Earth is really about." With that, Jake squared his shoulders and stepped into the classroom, ready to take his alien peers on a journey to Earth, a world that was so much more than just a death world. It was home. The presentation begins. Jake stood at the front of the classroom, his heart racing as he faced his alien classmates. The room had been rearranged, with desks pushed back to create a wide berth around him. Whether for better viewing or out of caution, he wasn't sure. "Good morning, everyone," Jake began, his voice steady despite his nerves. "Today, I'll be presenting on the ecology of my home planet, Earth." He tapped his data pad, and a holographic image of Earth sprang to life in the center of the room. Several students flinched at the sudden appearance of the blue and green sphere. "Now I know Earth has a bit of a reputation in the galactic community," Jake continued, attempting a disarming smile. "But I assure you, it's not all doom and gloom. In fact, Earth is home to an incredibly diverse range of ecosystems." He zoomed in on the hologram, showcasing different regions of the planet. From lush forests to vast oceans, from scorching deserts to frozen tundras, each biome presents unique challenges and opportunities for life. Lurk, the Vraxian, clicked his mandibles nervously. "You mean your planet has multiple death zones?" Jake chuckled. "We prefer to call them biomes. And yes, Earth has a wide variety of them. Each one is a complex web of life, perfectly adapted to its conditions." He swiped to an image of a lush rainforest. Take our tropical rainforests, for example. They're home to millions of species, many of which we haven't even discovered yet. Probably because they ate the research team. Zizik, the Nebulonian, muttered, eliciting nervous titters from his classmates. Jake chose to ignore the comment and pressed on. "One of the most fascinating aspects of Earth's ecology is the concept of food chains and food webs. You see, on Earth, everything is connected." The class collectively gasped. Even Professor Zixtel's gelatinous form seemed to pale slightly. Everything. Grax, a silicon-based life form, beaked in alarm. "Well, not exactly," Jake admitted. "Plants and some bacteria can produce their own food through photosynthesis or chemosynthesis, but they often end up as food for something else." He swiped to an image of a serene-looking deer grazing in a meadow. The class visibly relaxed. This was more like the ecosystems they were used to. Jake's finger hovered over the datapad. Of course, then something like this might happen. The hologram shifted to show a mountain lion pouncing on the deer. The classroom erupted into chaos. "By the great void," Lurk yelled, leaping onto his desk. "What manner of beast is that?" "That's a mountain lion," Jake explained, trying to keep his voice calm. "It's a predator that helps keep the deer population in check. It's all part of the balance of nature on Earth." "Balance," Zizik squawked indignantly. "That's not balance, that's carnage." Jake sighed. This was going to be a long presentation. "Look," he said, changing tactics, "I know this all seems very violent to you, but Earth's ecology is actually incredibly resilient because of this dynamic. The constant competition and adaptation drive evolution, leading to an amazing diversity of life." He swiped through more images, a school of colorful fish, a flock of birds in flight, a field of wildflowers teeming with insects. Earth's ecosystems are complex webs of interdependence. Remove one species, and it can have cascading effects throughout the entire system. It's a delicate balance, but one that's been honed over billions of years of evolution. The class was silent now, watching the parade of Earth life with a mixture of fascination and horror. "But what about humans?" Grax beeped hesitantly. "Where do you fit into this ecosystem?" Jake smiled. This was the part he'd been both dreading and looking forward to. "Ah, excellent question. Humans are. Well, we're a bit of a special case." He swiped to a series of images showing humans living in the Arctic, in arid deserts, in dense cities, even underwater in specialized suits. You see, we've evolved to be incredibly adaptable. We can survive in almost any environment on Earth. We've developed technology to overcome our physical limitations, allowing us to thrive in environments that would otherwise be lethal. The alien students murmured among themselves, clearly impressed, but also unsettled by this revelation. But, Jake continued, his tone growing serious, this adaptability comes with a cost. The next image showed a crowded cityscape, followed by scenes of deforestation and pollution. Our ability to change our environment has led to significant challenges for Earth's ecosystems. Climate change, habitat destruction, pollution, these are all consequences of human activity. The mood in the classroom shifted. The aliens' fear seemed to be giving way to a mix of concern and curiosity. Jake took a deep breath. It was time for the next phase of his presentation, the part he hoped would truly change their perspective on Earth and humanity. Now, he said, reaching for the potted fern he had brought with him, who would like to experience a little piece of Earth firsthand? The classroom fell silent once more, a palpable tension filling the air. Jake held up the fern, its delicate fronds swaying gently. This is a common plant from Earth called a fern. It's completely harmless, I promise. Would anyone like to touch it? For a long moment, no one moved. Then, slowly, Lurk raised one of his mantis-like appendages. I would like to try, he chittered nervously. As Lurk cautiously approached, Jake couldn't help but smile. It was a small step, but it was progress. Perhaps by the end of this presentation, his classmates would see Earth and humans in a whole new light. Predators and food chains. As Lurk's appendage gently brushed against the fern's delicate fronds, a collective gasp rippled through the classroom. The Vraxian's compound eyes widened in surprise. It's soft, Lurk chittered, his mandibles clicking in what Jake had learned to recognize as wonder. And it doesn't bite. Jake chuckled. That's right. Most plants on Earth don't bite. They have other ways of protecting themselves. Encouraged by Lurk's bravery, other students began to approach. Zizek hovered nearby, his gaseous form shimmering with curiosity. Grax extended a crystalline tendril, gently probing the plant's leaves. Fascinating. Grax beeped. Its cellular structure is so complex, yet so fragile. Jake nodded, pleased by their interest. That's Earth for you. Complex, fragile, yet incredibly resilient. Now let's dive deeper into how life on Earth interacts. He tapped his data pad, and the hologram shifted to display an intricate web of interconnected species. This is what we call a food web. It shows how energy flows through an ecosystem. The alien students leaned in, their fear momentarily forgotten in the face of scientific curiosity. At the base, we have producers like plants, Jake explained, highlighting the bottom of the web. They convert sunlight into energy through photosynthesis. Then we have primary consumers, usually herbivores, that eat the plants. He traced a line up the web. Next are secondary consumers, often carnivores, that eat the herbivores. And at the top, we have apex predators. The hologram zoomed in on a sleek, powerful creature, a wolf. Several students recoiled. This is a wolf, Jake said quickly, trying to maintain the atmosphere of curiosity. They're apex predators in many Earth ecosystems, but before you get scared, let me explain their role. He expanded the hologram to show a forest ecosystem. Wolves help maintain balance. They primarily hunt sick or weak animals, which keeps prey populations healthy. Without predators like wolves, herbivore populations can explode, leading to overgrazing and ecosystem collapse. Zizek's gaseous form swirled in agitation. But it's so violent. How can such brutality be necessary? Jake paused, considering how to respond. It might seem violent to us, but in nature, it's simply life. Each creature plays its part in the grand dance of survival and evolution. He swiped to a new image, a time-lapse of a forest recovering after a wildfire. Earth's ecosystems are built on cycles of growth, destruction, and renewal. What might look like violence or chaos to us is often part of a larger, more complex system. The class watched in awe as the charred landscape gradually transformed into a thriving forest. Even events we see as destructive, like wildfires, play crucial roles in some ecosystems, Jake continued. They clear out old growth, release nutrients back into the soil, and trigger the germination of certain plant species. Professor Zixtel's gelatinous form quivered with excitement. Fascinating. The sheer complexity of Earth's systems is overwhelming. Jake smiled, encouraged by the professor's enthusiasm. It is complex, and that's what makes it so remarkable. Every species, from the tiniest bacteria to the largest predators, plays a crucial role. He brought up a new hologram, this time of a coral reef teeming with life. Fish of every color darted between intricate coral structures, while crustaceans scuttled along the ocean floor. This is a coral reef, Jake explained. It's one of the most diverse ecosystems on Earth. Coral reefs cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, but they're home to more than 25% of marine life. The alien students crowded around the hologram, their earlier fear replaced by fascination. But, Jake continued, his tone growing serious, these incredibly complex and beautiful systems are also incredibly fragile. The hologram shifted, showing a bleached and lifeless coral reef. Several students made sounds of distress. This is what happens when the delicate balance of an ecosystem is disrupted, Jake explained. Rising ocean temperatures, pollution, overfishing, all these factors can devastate a coral reef. He looked around the room, meeting the eyes, or equivalent sensory organs, of each of his classmates. This is why understanding Earth's ecology is so important. Every action has consequences, often far beyond what we initially see. Lurk raised an appendage. But Jake, he chittered hesitantly, if Earth's ecosystems are so fragile, how have humans managed to survive and thrive? From what you've shown us, it seems like your world is constantly trying to kill you. Jake couldn't help but laugh. That's a great question, Lurk. And it brings us to one of the most fascinating aspects of human biology and culture, our adaptability. He tapped his datapad, bringing up a new series of holograms. Humans have managed to survive and thrive on Earth, not because we're the strongest, fastest, or most resilient creatures. We've succeeded because of our ability to adapt, to problem solve, and to work together. The holograms showed humans in various environments, diving in the deep sea, scaling towering mountains, exploring scorching deserts, and even venturing into space. We've developed technologies to overcome our physical limitations, Jake explained. We've learned to harness the power of our minds to understand and manipulate our environment. And perhaps most importantly, we've learned the value of cooperation, both with each other and with the natural world around us. As Jake prepared to delve into the next part of his presentation, human adaptability and ingenuity, he could see a shift in his classmates' demeanor. The fear and skepticism that had greeted him at the start of class were giving way to genuine interest and curiosity. Perhaps, Jake thought with a surge of hope, he was actually changing their perception of Earth and humanity. But the real test was yet to come. How would they react when they learned just how far humans had pushed the boundaries of adaptation and survival? With a deep breath, Jake prepared to take his alien classmates on a journey through human history and achievement. A journey that he hoped would challenge everything they thought they knew about Deathworlders. Human adaptability. Jake took a moment to gather his thoughts, aware that he was about to challenge his classmates' perceptions even further. Now let's talk about how humans have adapted to thrive in Earth's diverse and often challenging environments. He brought up a new hologram, showing a timeline of human evolution. Humans evolved on the savannas of Africa, but over time, we spread to every corner of the globe. The hologram shifted, showing humans in various environments: the frozen tundra of the Arctic, the scorching heat of the Sahara, the oxygen-thin heights of the Himalayas, and the depths of the Amazon rainforest. Each of these environments presented unique challenges, Jake explained. Extreme temperatures, scarce resources, dangerous wildlife. Yet humans found ways to not just survive, but thrive. Zizek's gaseous form swirled in curiosity. But how? You don't have natural defenses like most species from Deathworlds. Jake smiled. You're right, Zizek. We don't have thick fur, or sharp claws, or venomous bites. Our greatest asset is this. He tapped his temple. Our brains. He brought up a series of images showing various human inventions and adaptations. In the Arctic, we developed thick, insulated clothing to protect against the cold. In the desert, we learned to find and conserve water. In the mountains, our bodies adapted to use oxygen more efficiently. Lurk clicked his mandibles in amazement. You mean your species physically changed to suit these environments? To some extent, yes. Jake nodded. But more importantly, we developed technologies and strategies to overcome our limitations. We didn't just adapt our bodies. We adapted our environment to suit our needs. The hologram shifted to show the progression of human dwellings, from simple caves to modern skyscrapers. We built shelters to protect us from the elements. We developed agriculture to ensure a stable food supply. We created tools to make our work easier and more efficient. Professor Zixtel's gelatinous form quivered with excitement. Remarkable. But surely there were limits to what you could adapt to. Jake's expression turned serious. There were certainly challenges we couldn't overcome through biology alone. That's where our ingenuity really came into play. He brought up images of early human deep-sea divers, then modern submarines and underwater habitats. The deep ocean, for instance, is an environment completely hostile to human life. The pressure would crush us. We can't breathe underwater. And it's pitch black down there. Yet we found ways to explore and even live in these environments for extended periods. The alien students murmured in awe. But perhaps our most ambitious adaptation was this, Jake said, bringing up an image of an astronaut on the moon. We even found a way to survive in the vacuum of space itself. The classroom erupted in a cacophony of surprised chirps, clicks, and burbles. Impossible. Grax beeped. No Deathworlder species has achieved space travel. Jake couldn't help but grin. Not only have we achieved it, but we've been doing it for over a century. We've walked on our moon, sent probes to other planets in our solar system, and even have a permanent orbiting space station. He brought up footage of the International Space Station. Humans live and work here, conducting experiments and pushing the boundaries of our understanding of the universe. The alien students watched in stunned silence as astronauts floated weightlessly through the station, Earth visible through a window behind them. But our adaptability isn't just about technology, Jake continued. It's also about our ability to work together, to pool our knowledge and resources. He showed images of international scientific collaborations, global conservation efforts, and humanitarian aid missions. When faced with global challenges like climate change, pandemics, or natural disasters, humans have shown an incredible capacity to unite and find solutions. Jake explained, we may come from different cultures and speak different languages, but we've learned that our strength lies in our diversity and our ability to cooperate. As Jake looked around the classroom, he could see that his classmates' fear had been replaced by something else, respect, and perhaps even admiration. Lurk raised an appendage. Jake, he chittered hesitantly, I must admit, I had many misconceptions about humans and Earth. Your species is far more remarkable than I had imagined. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the classroom. Even Zizek, who had been the most vocal about his fear of Earth, was nodding his gaseous form in what seemed to be approval. Jake felt a surge of pride and hope. He had set out to change his classmates' perceptions of Earth and humanity, and it seemed he was succeeding. But there was one more crucial point he needed to make. Thank you, Lurk, Jake said. I'm glad I've been able to show you a different side of humanity. But there's one more important aspect of human adaptability that I need to address. Our impact on Earth's ecosystems and how we're learning to adapt in new ways to protect our planet. As he prepared to delve into this final, crucial topic, Jake knew that this could be the most important part of his presentation. It wasn't just about showcasing human achievements, but also about acknowledging their responsibilities as a technologically advanced species on a fragile planet. With a deep breath, he turned to face his classmates, ready to conclude his presentation with a message of hope, responsibility, and the ongoing challenge of human adaptation in the face of global environmental changes. A new perspective. Jake paused, gathering his thoughts for this crucial final segment of his presentation. The classroom was silent, all eyes, and various sensory organs, fixed on him with rapt attention. Now, Jake began, his voice soft but clear. I've shown you how humans have adapted to Earth's challenges and how we've used our ingenuity to overcome seemingly impossible obstacles. But our greatest challenge lies not in conquering our environment, but in learning to live in harmony with it. He brought up a new hologram, showing a split image. On one side, a pristine forest teeming with life. On the other, a sprawling city with towering skyscrapers. Our ability to adapt and shape our environment has led to incredible achievements, Jake continued, but it has also had significant consequences for Earth's ecosystems. The hologram shifted, showing scenes of deforestation, polluted rivers, and melting glaciers. Several of the alien students made sounds of distress. Climate change, habitat destruction, pollution. These are all results of human activity, Jake explained, his tone somber. For a long time, we adapted our environment to suit our needs without fully understanding the long-term consequences. Professor Zixtel's gelatinous form rippled with concern. But surely, with your level of technology, you can reverse this damage. Jake smiled sadly. It's not that simple, Professor. Earth's ecosystems are incredibly complex. Once they're disrupted, it's not always possible to simply put them back the way they were. But he added, his voice taking on a note of determination, that doesn't mean we've given up. He swiped to a new series of images, solar farms stretching across deserts, wind turbines spinning on hillsides, scientists working in labs filled with strange plants and equipment. We're now facing our greatest adaptation challenge yet, Jake explained. We're learning to adapt our way of life to protect and restore Earth's ecosystems. We're developing clean energy technologies, finding ways to remove pollution from our air and water, and working to preserve and restore habitats. The alien students leaned in, clearly fascinated by this new perspective. But perhaps most importantly, Jake continued, we're learning to see ourselves not as separate from nature, but as a part of it. We're beginning to understand that our fate is tied to the fate of Earth's ecosystems. He brought up one final hologram, a beautiful, intricate web showing the connections between human societies and various ecosystems around the world. This is what we're striving for, Jake said, his voice filled with passion. A world where human adaptability and ingenuity work in harmony with nature, not against it. As the hologram slowly rotated, showing the delicate balance between human activity and natural systems, the classroom was silent. Jake could see his classmates processing everything they had learned, their perceptions of Earth and humanity visibly shifting. Finally, Lurk spoke up. Jake, he chittered softly. I must admit, when you first started this presentation, I was terrified of Earth and humans. But now I'm in awe. Your world, your species, they're so much more complex and beautiful than I ever imagined. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the classroom. Even Zizik, who had been the most vocal about his fear of Earth, was nodding his gaseous form enthusiastically. Indeed, Professor Zixtel burbled, his gelatinous form quivering with excitement. I believe we've all learned a valuable lesson today. Earth may be a death world by our standards, but it's also a world of incredible diversity, resilience, and beauty. And humans, far from being simple Deathworlders, are a species of remarkable adaptability and potential. Jake felt a wave of emotion wash over him. He had set out to change his classmates' perceptions of Earth and humanity, and it seemed he had succeeded beyond his wildest hopes. Thank you all, Jake said, his voice thick with emotion. Earth may be challenging, even dangerous at times, but it's also wonderful. It's home. And as humans, we're learning that our true strength lies not in conquering our environment, but in understanding it, protecting it, and living in harmony with it. As the class erupted into enthusiastic alien applause, a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and vibrations, Jake knew that something had fundamentally changed. He had bridged a gap between worlds, fostering understanding where there had once been fear. Professor Zixtal oozed forward. "Jake, I believe your presentation has opened up exciting new avenues for interspecies cooperation and research. Would you be willing to lead a series of seminars on Earth ecology and human adaptation strategies?" Jake's eyes widened in surprise and delight. "I'd be honored, Professor." As the class began to disperse, Jake found himself surrounded by his alien classmates, all eager to ask questions and learn more about Earth. Lurk was examining the fern with newfound fascination, while Zizik hovered nearby, peppering Jake with questions about ocean ecosystems. In that moment, Jake realized that his presentation had done more than just educate his classmates about Earth. It had sparked curiosity, fostered understanding, and opened up new possibilities for connection between species. As he began to answer his classmates' excited questions, Jake couldn't help but smile. He had come to this alien university to learn about other worlds, but in the process, he had taught others about his own. And in doing so, he had taken a small but significant step towards a future where humans and aliens could learn from each other, working together to face the challenges of the vast and wondrous universe they shared. The fear and misconceptions that had once surrounded Earth and humanity were giving way to something new: respect, curiosity, and the promise of friendship across the stars. And for Jake, that was the greatest adaptation of all.